Cu voia dumneavoastră, Carmen Micu, chair of the conference today, and I'm going to switch to English to honor our guests from abroad. So, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, dear friends, dear partners, dear leaders from business, government, finance, academia, civil society, dear members of the board community. Good morning and welcome to Bucharest, obvious, to our incredible list of speakers today. I'm honored and we are honored to have you on board to the fifth session edition of the Future of Governance Conference. I'm really a little bit enthusiastic and also emotional because for us it's a long way that we have run, and it's incredible that even in these troubled times we are reaching the fifth edition, talking about governance, which is such a broad and such an unusual concept to talk about in the business community, and I'm not talking only about the corporate governance concept. Why we are here? The governance crisis. We gather today in a world that is not simply experiencing crisis, but what many institutional leaders now describe as a governance crisis of confidence. And all the speakers today, from one perspective or another, are going to talk about that. Across Europe, trust in institutions has reached historically fragile levels. Eurofound data shows that trust in national governments and parliaments across the EU has remained consistently below mid-scale levels since the pandemics, with economic insecurity and perceived lack of responsiveness as key drivers. The OECD speaks openly about a crisis of trust, warning that declining confidence in public institutions undermines democratic legitimacy, compliance, and long-term policy effectiveness, especially in times of compounded shocks. Romania is not immune. Regional data consistently places citizens' trust in public institutions below the EU average, while boards and senior leaders such as us, in both public and private organizations, operate under intense scrutiny, shortened decisions horizons, and rising societal expectations. Romanian parliament vote of no confidence for the government just 2 days ago emphasized the fragility of our socio-economic ecosystem, undermined by the volatility of the public arena. Hence, the governance is under pressure, not failure, but mismatch. This is an important distinction. Governance is not failing because leaders lack intent or competence. Governance is under pressure because the complexity of the operating environment has outgrown the governance models that we continue to rely on. The European Commission research on institutional trust highlights that citizens judge institutions less on formal authority and more, surprise or not, on integrity, transparency, fairness, and the ability to act credibly on the long-term challenges, from inequality to climate and technological disruptions. In other words, legitimacy today is earned continuously, not granted by position, nor title or mandate. The Great Governance Reset, redefining the scope of governance. This is why this year's theme, the Great Governance Reset, is not a rhetorical one. It reflects a structural shift in how governance is defined, from control to judgment, from oversight to strategic stewardship, from compliance to legitimacy and trust, from short-term optimization to intergenerational responsibility. OECD updated framework on drivers of trust confirms this shift, identifying responsiveness, reliability, openness, integrity, and fairness as the core governance capabilities leaders must now master across both public and corporate institutions. What this means for leaders and board directors? For us, in particular, this reset is deeply personal and profoundly professional. Boards today are asked not only what results they deliver, if they add value, but how decisions are made, when outcomes are uncertain, trade-offs are political, and risks are systemic. OECD evidence shows that trust increases when people believe leaders are prepared for future crises, not only effective in the past ones. This places boards at the center of crisis anticipation, not crisis reaction, ethical boundary setting for technological and AI, legitimacy in times of power asymmetry, and credibility across generations. What is Envisia's role in it? Envisia exists to professionalize governance where it matters most, in the boardroom. It was founded on a simple but demanding belief: governance excellence is not optional, it is a societal responsibility. The Future of Governance conference is designed as a peer platform for applied board-level dialogue, a space where board members can examine difficult realities without performative optimism or political caution. I'm setting now the tone for the day. Today's agenda brings together international and Romanian voices who operate at the frontier of governance transformation, from geopolitics to finance, ethics, intergenerational leadership, and artificial intelligence. As chair of this conference and the CEO and founding member of Envisia, I now have the honor to officially open the Future of Governance International Conference 2026 and invite you into a day of reflection, challenge, and responsible leadership. Panels you will experience today are strategic governance laboratories, not debates. The keynote speech is about leadership under structural tension, not episodic crisis. I now officially open the conference and invite you to engage, not as observers, but as fiduciaries. Speak, engage, steward. This being said, I'm very happy to invite Professor Gabriela Hărțescu to the floor. She's my colleague, she's the Dean of Envisia Business School, and she's going to open with reflections